Good morning, my name is Ari. I'm the team manager and manufacturing engineer for Anemoi Racing, a first-year F1 in Schools team from St Paul's Girls' School in Hammersmith, London. I lead the team and help with manufacturing the car as well as modelling the virtual pit display.
My name's Ava and I'm the design engineer. That means I design the car as well as conducting CFD testing and leading the work on the engineering portfolio.
My name's Angela and I'm our finance manager. I manage our budget and money for sponsorship as well as working in enterprise for the team.
My name is Iman and I'm our resource manager. I source materials and software as well as finding sponsorship and making connections with industry. We all decided to compete in this competition as we are interested in STEM and want to go into careers relating to STEM. F1 in Schools has provided us with a great opportunity to push ourselves and learn about a range of subjects that are beyond the curriculum.
We did have some trouble though and obstacles we needed to overcome. One of the biggest things we struggled with was finding sponsorship, considering how few potential sponsors had money to spend with the coronavirus hurting business. Fortunately though, we were able to secure sponsorship despite the added challenge and managed to get enough money to cover our costs, all without seeing anyone in person and working solely over emails and Zoom.
On the topic of coronavirus, due to schools closing, we had to figure out how to stay in contact and still get work done whilst not being able to see each other in person. We used emails and messaging apps to continue to coordinate work. We had to leave manufacturing and filming for the video presentation to the end though, as these things had to be done in person. This meant that we were a little pressed for time, but we got through it anyways.
One of the most rewarding parts of the whole project was seeing our car come into reality. It was great to be able to actually hold it for the first time after spending so long developing it digitally. To model the car, we used Autodesk Fusion 360 and made several models which were tested in CFD to figure out which model would result in the least drag. So once we had finalised the design, we bought the materials needed for the manufacturing process and began to finally make the physical car.
An example of an innovation we had in the development of the car was to use epoxy resin to finish it, as we wanted to ensure it was very sturdy so that nothing would break during the shipping of it to the racetrack, and that the surface would be nice and smooth so that we could apply paint in an attractive looking layer without any bumps or remaining surface texture from the CNC cutting. The epoxy did a great job at this, and we can confidently say that it helped us greatly with both applying our paint and preventing it from breaking.
When designing the car, we chose to move the no-go zone forwards to create a rear lip around the opening for the CO2 canister, which when we tested with CFD showed a slight speed increase when compared with the flat, lipless version. One of the very first things we did was contact universities for mentoring or assistance, as this was our first time doing the competition and we wanted the best chance of winning we could have. Luckily for us, City University of London was very willing to help, and we received mentoring from Dr. Vasler, someone who knows the F1 in Schools competition very well. Despite never having the opportunity to meet us face to face, he amongst others were a huge help, sending us a constant stream of feedback and encouragement.
Dr. Vasler was able to introduce us to Mr. Kane from Robert May School in Hampshire, who offered to CNC mill our car from our designs, as we do not have a CNC milling machine we could use at our school.
This proved a huge assistance and helped us push ourselves further and refine our work as we were put in contact with more professionals who gave us extremely valuable advice that we would never have gotten without mentorship.
We were sponsored by the worshipful company of Mercers, as well as the tire company Genesis and the law firm Paul John & Co. The Mercers were able to provide us with a grant of £1,000 in match funding in order to help us with our fundraising efforts, and both Paul John & Co. and Genesis were generously able to give us £500 upfront each.
Throughout this, we learned a lot on how to communicate with members in industry, as well as how to successfully market ourselves as a team and sell ourselves to sponsors. This was very valuable and will hopefully help us in our work in the future, as contacting businesses in a professional and appealing way is without a doubt something that is very important to know how to do.
As for return on investment, depending on how much money our sponsor was willing to give us, we put their logos on many things, from our website to our social media accounts and on the body of our cars. We also put their company branding up on our documentation, such as our pit display and engineering or enterprise portfolio.
For the Mercers company, they wanted us to give back to the local community in particular, so we worked with them to arrange for us to go into primary schools. We will teach the F1 in Schools Primary Challenge, involving students making a model car out of paper instead of foam, like we have done. This would help to introduce them to the competition in a simple and friendly way, and aims to get more students and schools involved.
The lessons we've learned and the opportunities we have had thanks to F1s in schools are invaluable. Before this, none of us knew how to build or market a brand. Now we are much more confident in doing this, as well as, for example, developing a product like an F1 car in a team of different people.
In particular, our different roles helped us practice a variety of different skills and pushed us to find our forte and work to a high level of skill during the competition. As finance manager, the challenge of managing all our funds and working out our budget was intimidating at first, but over the course of these few months, I now feel a lot more comfortable with it, and I'm ready to go into next year with a much more confident outlook and a fresh Excel spreadsheet.
Being team manager, it was definitely a challenge to manage 3 different people and their jobs, on top of car manufacturing and lots of graphic design and 3D work for the pit display. At times, it could be a bit overwhelming, but doing this has really given me a chance to hone my organizational skills and practice using software like Photoshop and Blender.
Going into this project, I had no idea how to use CFD and had only briefly used Fusion 360 for small projects. Despite having to learn both these skills from scratch, it's meant that I've learned loads and can only improve going into next year.
Considering I had to source all of our materials and find our sponsors, I spent a lot of time learning about different products and best methods of purchasing and shipping. Doing this has given me a great insight on what it's like to provide for a team, and I'm happy to say that much of the guesswork will be cut out for next year, especially when purchasing materials and figuring out the right software and hardware to use.
Thank you for watching our presentation. We hope that you enjoyed it, and we hope to see you next year.